13 Trump policies that Biden has reversed intentionally, making war more likely. Well, he is here to join us to discuss. Joel, thank you so much for joining Special Report.
It's good to be with you.
Yeah, we have this excellent article pointing out 13 only, and you could go on and on and on, of the many times that Biden intentionally reversed Trump policies that had led to a 4-year term of total peace. And you start out with the first one of how Biden restored funding to UNRWA and the Palestinians. So how has that led to the Middle East war right now and the attack by Hamas on October 7th?
Well, when Donald Trump was president, he made it absolutely clear that he would support Israel doing whatever it needed to do to push back or to fight against terrorists. And when Biden came in, he did the opposite. He started pressuring Israel. He restored funding to the UN Relief and Works Agency, which later went on to be associated through some of its employees to the October 7th attacks. And he also did things like revoking Trump's sanctions on the International Criminal Court, which Trump had put into place to prevent that court from abusing its power against the United States or against Israel and other American allies. And Biden basically signaled weakness, and everybody took advantage of it. By the way, not just in the case of Israel. Biden made a big show of accusing Trump of working with Vladimir Putin, but then as soon as Biden came into office, he removed the sanctions on Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline. He met with Putin in Geneva before meeting with Zelensky in Ukraine. So Biden basically told all of our enemies and rivals that we are not supporting our allies, and they have taken advantage of that. And the result has been instability all over the world and war in Eastern Europe and in the Middle East.
Yeah, and Joel, you just mentioned it. Your second point in your piece is how Biden dropped sanctions on the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. I want to dig deeper into that and talk about how Biden's policies have now led essentially Russia to invade Ukraine.
Well, it's a combination of factors. Obviously, Russia is to blame for the invasion, not the United States, not even President Biden. But Russia looked at President Biden's behavior and understood that there wouldn't be much resistance. First of all, Biden dropped the Nord Stream 2 sanctions. He had the summit with Putin in Geneva, again, before meeting with Zelensky. And then you had the Afghanistan pullout, which was such a disaster that it left many of America's enemies, as well as our allies, thinking that this administration, which promised to be the adults in the room, the best and the brightest, they didn't know what they were doing. They couldn't even manage a retreat properly. And so that's when Russia decided to move. Within less than a year, Russia invaded Ukraine. And by the way, as much as the Biden administration supports Zelensky and Ukraine now, in the early days of the Russian invasion, Biden and our overseas intelligence services and so forth were telling Zelensky, we're ready to evacuate you. We're ready to rescue you from Ukraine. They were evacuating U.S. embassy personnel. They were convinced that Ukraine was going to fold, and they were planning for that. So the Biden plan has always been to retreat, to appease, to offer things without getting anything, whereas Trump had the Reagan approach of peace through strength. You don't need to send billions of dollars everywhere. You don't need to send troops everywhere, but you need to make it clear that you are going to support your allies and you are going to take action when it affects your own national security. When President Trump killed Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian terrorist general, in January 2020, Biden said he would not have done it. And so did every other Democratic presidential candidate. But Trump did it, and it scared the Iranians to the point where they pulled back from a lot of these terror activities. So you see the difference there. Trump didn't have to send billions and billions extra to some funding of some military operation. He didn't have to send troops and so forth. He just used the assets that we already had to send a very strong signal. And that's what Biden refuses to do. You know, there was this plane crash with the Iranian president that you mentioned, with the State Department now sending condolences. I mean, that's just so weak. But this president who died, Ebrahim Raisi, he was a hardliner. He was responsible for the executions of thousands of Iranian political activists. He was part of the Death to America crowd. And before he was killed in a plane crash, Biden officials were meeting with his administration in a third-party country, in Oman, one of the Gulf states. And they were reassuring Iran that we aren't going to do anything, so let's not have a regional war, even though there already is a regional war. Iran's terrorist proxies are already attacking Israel, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Iraqi militias. The Iraqi militias have attacked American soldiers. Biden does nothing. The Iranian Houthi militia, which is running part of Yemen, they've been attacking global shipping and shutting down global supply chains. We've done nothing. So Biden's basically asking our enemies to be very nice to us, whereas Trump told the enemies that if you do this kind of thing, we're just going to destroy you. We're not even going to think twice about it. And we're not going to commit endless amounts of soldiers and money to it. We're just going to use the weapons we have. I mean, that's what Fire and Fury was about with North Korea. He said to Kim Jong-un, this is a very short conflict we're about to have unless you shape up. So I think that the idea of peace through strength really works. And if you stand by our allies and you stand by our principles and our interests, then it works. If you don't, if you strengthen these corrupt multilateral institutions like the United Nations and you relieve the sanctions on the International Criminal Court and you appease our enemies and send billions of dollars without any accountability or oversight, I don't even think there's an inspector general for the billions of dollars we've sent to Ukraine. And I support helping Ukraine, but we don't know where the money's going. We don't know what the strategy is. Biden came into office promising diplomacy is back. Now it would seem like, it's already almost too late, but it's a good time to have some diplomacy. We should have talks to figure out how to solve this conflict. But instead, we're just sending billions of dollars. The front lines haven't moved. And if anything, it's getting worse for the Ukrainians. So we've just seen no leadership, no understanding of the careful balance between force and diplomacy that's necessary. And Trump understood that because Trump comes from the business world. He also understands that money is a big motivating force. And cut off the money to these terrorists, you end a lot of these problems.